Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Christmas Trends webinar for 2025. I'm Nikki Snell, the founder of Press Loft, and I'm joined today by Amy Peelan, our marketing assistant. And Amy looks after all things trends on the site as well. So before we dive into these trends, here is a quick look at how we select them. So, first of all, we draw on 20 years of media search and product data to identify patterns and spot emerging cycles. We also track really early indicators like the types of Christmas and autumn winter products being uploaded to the platform, and also which items are already attracting media searches and downloads. Then Amy goes ahead and researches broader market signals, things like Pinterest predicts, Etsy marketplace insights, Google Trends, influencer content, fashion forecasts, and these often lead the way into decor and gifting. And then from there, we shortlist the trends we believe are most likely to drive media coverage. So from there, we shortlist the trends we believe are most likely to drive media coverage. We avoid repeating the very obvious yearly themes that we see have been big in recent years, so things like reds, whites, and greens or paper decorations, unless there is a new twist or an interesting hook. So, our goal with this report is to highlight trends with real editorial potential. And today we're going to be sharing the 11 standout trends that we think will catch the eye, spark features, and generate really strong results for both brands and media. And then at the end, we've got some standout ones which didn't quite make the cut, but we feel are worth discussing as well. So to receive all of our trends as they're launched, please sign up for our free trend alerts, which you can see on the site when you go to the trends section. So without further ado, I will hand over to Amy to kick off with our first colour palette trend.
Perfect. So, like Nikki said, we're going to start off with some key color palettes for the year. And the first one I want to cover today is Cherrycoded Christmas. And this is definitely one of the bolder, more confident looks in this year's lineup, I think. So now, while obviously we love traditional pairings of wintry reds with greens and golds, this trend is more about layering different shades of cherry and crimson and ruby all together to create something that's really strong and impactful. And these sultry, moody tones, they've been having a major moment, I would say, across both interiors and fashion. I mean, as Nikki mentioned, we use Pinterest Predicts for some of our research, and they highlighted cherry as one of their key colors for 2025. And it was actually one of our top picks for 2024 as well. So it's no surprise we're seeing that translate into our festive styling as well. So you'll spot this look in everything from glossy cherry red accessories, bold crimson candles, as well as things like rich tartan throws, which are a bit more of a traditional element, velvet stockings, statement crackers, as photoed above. And all the brilliant ways, all of these are brilliant to sort of bring a bit of drama to your Christmas styling, I think, as well. And if you're planning shoots around this trend, layering is really key. So try mixing subtle shade variations alongside maybe different textures. So pairing matte finishes with something more glossy, velvets with satins, just to stop the space from feeling very flat or otherwise overwhelming as well. Then moving on to Midwinter Magic. So this is one of the more atmospheric looks, I think. It's inspired by those icy landscapes, Arctic skies, and just this soft, otherworldly glow you get around the frostier season. And what's lovely about this trend is that it offers a cooler, more elegant base for people to play around with. So blending light blues, soft lilacs, silvers, and pearly whites. It's a really nice alternative for anybody who wants their festive styling to feel more serene and more refined, less traditional, but still keeps that magical touch, I think. And you'll see this look come through in pearlescent ornaments, frosted ornaments, shimmering glassware, silver garlands, as well as layering translucent touches that catch the light and reflect it all throughout the space. Actually, on that note, when it comes to styling, it's all about playing with light and shadow alongside this palette to really create the soft, glowy atmosphere we're aiming for. And sometimes it's really the little touches that bring the quiet magic of this trend to life so it doesn't feel overdone. And then the last one for our color palettes, at least, is Spice Cocoa. And this is one of those trends that brings warmth and depth to everything that it touches. So after a few years where in broader interiors trends, cooler tones and high contrast palettes really dominated, this is just a really lovely shift towards something more grounding and more soulful. And this palette blends rich browns, soft caramels, shades of clove and amber, all of those really warm shades that create the cozy, inviting space we're seeing more and more consumers gravitate towards. And I mean, it's something we all crave around the colder weather. So you'll see it come through in products like amber candle holders, wooden accents, caramel toned ribbons, maybe using cinnamon stick details on gifts and in your decor as well. Definitely using some earthy ceramics and warm tactile textiles as well to make the space feel layered and welcoming. And when styling or shooting this look, the magic really comes from combining this palette with natural materials and warm lighting. So let pieces of wood, soft fabrics, and low candlelight do a lot of the work for you. And small details, like I mentioned, of more natural elements, think like spices, dried fruit, a touch of natural twine, are a great way to weave in an earthy, grounded element to the look. But if you do want to elevate it a little bit, a touch of gold or polished metal is a really perfect way to add a hint of luxury without losing the heart of this look. And then next, we're going to move into some of our key styling trends. And the first one we have is Coquette Christmas. And this is one of my favorites as well. It feels like it's a natural evolution of last year's bow obsession, which we highlighted in our trend, actually, if you were around for that. And what's lovely about this trend is how it softens everything and brings in this vintage inspired layered charm that's been huge in both fashion and interiors over the last year in particular. So the palette around it focuses mainly on gentle colors. So blush pinks, soft whites, warm nudes, tiny hints of red, green, and gold that just stop it from feeling too sugary. And visually, it's all about those soft materials and intricate details. So satin ribbons on gifts, lace trims on stockings, pearl dotted ornaments, or blush baubles, as well as delicate glassware for the table. And when styling, unlike other trends, you don't want to go big and bold. It's much more about those small, thoughtful layers. So pair satins with lace, add elements of faux fur throughout the space, go for that really soft, diffused lighting to create a really romantic, nostalgic feeling. And honestly, a few vintage style props here and there can really help tie the whole thing together without overcomplicating the scene. And then the last one I'm going to cover for now is the main event. And this is a trend that really speaks about how Christmas is becoming less about the meal itself and more about a whole experience of coming together. So, creating a space that feels warm and welcoming, whether it's for friends, for families, neighbors, whoever makes up your community, and elevating the experience for everybody. So, we've seen this through a resurgence of dinner party culture on social media, where it's not about showing off, but creating a thoughtful, intentional experience. So that's exactly what defines the trend. Think handwritten or printed menus and place cards, glass or crystal glassware catching the candlelight, playful or chic serveware, embroidered napkins, things like that. And when you're styling this, don't aim to make it like showroom perfect. The beauty's really in the unpolished elements of it. So you're looking to curate something that feels lived in and real, like you've captured a candid of the moment of celebration rather than a showroom itself, even if your products are the hero of the moment.
Gorgeous. Thank you, Amy. So now I'm going to talk about the naughties disco one. This is really fun, really playful, kind of Y2K inspired trend filled with glitter, tinsel, mirror finishes, disco balls. So really maximalist here and very fun. So think bold pinks, purples, metallics, really bringing kind of party energy to your festive styling. So look out for statement glassware, painted neon candles, sequin cushions, iridescent baubles, and really glossy wrapping. And it's all about, like I said, maximalist fun. So this one I absolutely love. Now the next one is called Once Upon a Time, and this is a fairy tale inspired trend with mushrooms, fairies, enchanted creatures, keys. But we're also seeing this year storybook, and that's a big part of it for some brands. So you're thinking Alice in Wonderland, Sleeping Beauty, Bambi, and that can be in tableware. It could often in baubles, decorations. I know particularly Gisela Graham has really gone big for this kind of storybook and books in general this year, which I was lucky enough to go to their press show a few months ago and got an inside track on that one. So that was great to see. This style can actually be both really light and romantic and airy with like feathers and velvets, but it can also be really dark and moody in gothic fonts and antique detailing. So you can choose how you interpret that one according to the products that you have, or obviously the article that you're writing. Then the next one for me is the biggest one for me that I think will get the most amount of coverage and articles written about it. So this is beaded baubles. And this year we have moved on from the quirky glass baubles that we saw for the past 2 or 3 years. They are still there, but this beaded one is the standout one for baubles that I think will get, like I said, the most amount of coverage. So this is all about the fun shapes that we saw in the glass baubles. So you've got sausages and fruits and cocktails, but they've got this more sort of tactile, handcrafted feel than the glass ones. The colour palette is often still very bright, but can be slightly more muted than the glass because simply it's been using slightly more muted beads. So definitely jump on this one if you have them. And then next, along the same sort of lines, we've got quilted comfort. So it's really following on the fashion moment. Quilting has been in everything in fashion, and it's going to carry on in this season to be more mainstream in the autumn winter collections and then into Christmas as well with interiors gifting, seasonal decor. It really brings texture and it brings nostalgia as well. As you can see here, these are fairly traditional in some ways, and comfort and coziness, which is always important in the winter months. So really interesting to see how this one emerges over Christmas with festive styling.
Mhm.
And then next, we've got embroidered details. I mean, everywhere you look in fashion at the moment, there's something that's embroidered. And we are going to definitely see this crossover into Christmas decorations, into Christmas fashion, Christmas gifting. Small stitched motifs, particularly, are very big. Those quirky small items, again, hot dogs and birds and fruits. We think that that's where it's going to emerge really strongly, as well as personalization. I think you'll talk a little bit about personalization in a bit, Amy, and this is part of it as well.
Okay, and then to wrap up the actual illustrated trends that we have, the last one is Tiny Treasures, and it's probably one of my favorite ones, I think, mainly
Same.
because it's just something I've seen a lot of traffic around for, like on socials and across shops as well, different products that they're selling. And it's a gift trend all about small scale pieces that feel thoughtful, personal, and just full of character as well, rather than a throwaway. So it taps into this wider shift we've seen towards hyper personalized gifting, as you said, where it's all about curating little things that feel just right for the individual. So this will look different for everyone. It's where modern collectibles meet sort of heirloom trinkets. So we're talking about charm bracelets and necklaces stacked with an eclectic mix of charms rather than one super specific look. Playful big bag charms. Collectible figures like Sonny Angels or Labubus, which we have a photo of here. Vintage style lockets, matchbook keepsakes, as well as personalized tin wallets is another big trend I've seen, which is really cute. It's just this little take on the go, little curated thing. Either you can make it for your friends or for yourself. Pieces all like this come together to tell a story and just feel like they've been chosen with care, and that's the main thing of this trend. It's less about a single standout gift and more about curating small, thoughtful items that feel personal, meaningful, just really full of character. And it's the kind of pieces that inspire connection and spark conversation as well. Like, I mean, with the Labubu conversation, every time you see one out by, you sort of immediately strike up a conversation about where you could have possibly got it. I don't know what the craze is. I'm not personally a fan of it, but I do understand it.
And then we have, like we did last year, honorable mentions. These are trends which didn't quite make the final cut, maybe because we didn't have enough product imagery, maybe because we thought the others were stronger, but we wanted to discuss them anyway. So we've got frosted fruits motifs, which I've seen in so many products emerging. There's quite a lot of early indicators that this will be a micro trend to discuss. And then, Amy, do you want to discuss the Gothic one?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're seeing darker, moodier decor continue to bubble up, and we sort of touched on this with the fairy tale-esque trend earlier. If people want to lean more into the darker side, we'll see black baubles, aged or tarnished metals, dramatic candle holders, as well as maybe Gothic fonts in some of your actual cards and detailing. And definitely paired with richer palettes, adding a bit of depth, romance, and a bit of antique flair, I think, as well. And then the next one on decor and styling is Snow on the Beach, which I'm kind of sad we didn't get to do a trend for, but I know we didn't have quite the right things for what we had in mind. And it's such a fun one because it's a crossover of this gorgeous coastal coastal look that people have been loving, as well as fa with festive styling, but it's done in a way that feels very elevated rather than kitsch. So think more East Coast Nancy Meyers movie, where there's layered textures, sandy neutrals, soft blues, and just frosted touches to really bring it all together. I voted for it mainly because obviously this year we've seen a lot of coastal shows, things like Sirens on Netflix, and then The Summer I Turned Pretty is coming out with its final season next month. So there's definitely a resurgence of love for that coastal look.
Amazing. And then onto gifting. This is one of yours, junk journaling. I had never heard about this, but now you mention it, I'm seeing everywhere. So do you want to discuss that one?
Yeah, I mean, and we're seeing a growing appetite for gifts that really encourage people to slow down and take a break from their screens. And so journaling plays a big part in that. And gifting, it'll look like the journal itself, giving curated sets of stickers, washi tapes, postcards, everything. But the whole point of it is there is no set way to do it. It's an entirely personal experience. I, for one, know a lot of people get hung up on the idea of journaling a certain way. It has to look a certain way. You have to be really regimented with it. This throws all of that away, so you can just be free with it and just put everything you like or dislike all in one place in whatever way you see fit. If you look on Pinterest, you'll find loads of inspiration as well. It's really gorgeous trend.
Great. And then from my side, I really feel Christmas brooches are going to be big and have their moment. We started to see them just trickle in last year. I'm seeing more and more and more of them as we go. I suspect this will be particularly big next year. But for that, we're seeing both vintage, something that maybe has been handed down to you, car boot finds, but also new, obviously. And they can be more traditional, gothic style gems, but also kind of quirky and fun, whatever your take is on that. Also, along the lines of jewelry, we're looking at bangles. They are huge now in fashion. It's only going to grow over the next 6 months. And I think that therefore this will make a really good Christmas feature, Christmas gifting, Christmas fashion angles. So definitely one to be promoting if you're a PR working for anyone that sells these. And then the last one in our sort of micro trends list is unplugged. This isn't so micro. It was incredibly strong last year as a gifting topic. It's still going strong this year. So that means getting off your phone. Like, what can you gift to get people off their phone, off their screens? So things like books, board games, craft kits, practical hobbies, experiences. All of these will absolutely make great PR topics, great articles in the press. It's about disconnecting from your
Mhm.
screens and reconnecting with other people. So hopefully that was a really useful thing for both the media and the audience and the clients. But what's next? So for the PRs in the audience, get active on Press Loft. So make sure you're adding your images as early as possible. The top performing search at the moment, and we're in June, is Christmas. So please do make sure your images are being added. Start sending out your releases. You might also want to do a short lead option of the same press release in September. We're seeing this really strong surgence in September, but obviously massive now. So get active. On the media side, please do use the image library. We're going to be putting these trends live over the next few months. So make sure you've signed up for those trend alerts that I mentioned at the start. So we hope you found this report useful. Thanks, Amy, for all of your amazing research. As always, don't forget you can download this PDF below the video on Pressloft. Please share it far and wide.